Cutting through the noise and finding clarity ahead of a Fed rate cut. Hey guys, it's Keith Allen. I think we could tell that my trigger fingers are a little slow here on pushing the buttons here this afternoon, but hopefully my analysis is spot on. Hope you're having a good week, good day, whatever. Obviously, so much speculation and anticipation around a Fed rate cut tomorrow, and a disproportionate amount of noise online speculating on how things might be. I have read and heard everything from it's instant moonshot from here, Fed cuts rates, and we are off to the races, to it's over. And well, I think we're somewhere in between. Maybe how about this? We could start this by saying there's just no absolutes, right? And I'm going to get into this. I'm going to talk about some analysis I had last week that seems to be developing nicely, really as scripted. And so we're going to look at that, but it's eyes forward here, right? Where do we go from here? So we are going to be looking at the scenarios that might play out here over the next couple of days and weeks and months for that matter. So we'll look at short term, we'll look at longer time frame and see if we can come up with some conclusions and at the very least leave you with some insights that can help you out. If you're new to the stream, oh, by the way, my name's Keith Allen, work from home dad, full-time trader, co-founder of Material Indicators, and I'm here for you. Simple as that. Trying to pass on some insights and knowledge that I gained at the School of Hard Knocks to hopefully save you the pain and the expense of learning those lessons the hard and expensive way like I did. Live chat is open. If you have questions, I will do my very best to answer them. If you have comments and insights, by all means, please share them because we all learn together. A high tide raises all boats. So I really appreciate the contributions you guys make to the to the stream as well. Hello, Prometheus. Good to have you with me. Appreciate it. Let's go ahead and climb into some charts here today. Again, live chat is open. Get in there. And if you haven't done so yet, smash some buttons. Help me grow the channel. You know how it works, right? It's all the algo, whatever. Just hit the like button. Hit the share button. Bring in some of your friends to the stream. And make sure you hit that subscribe button, check that little bell on YouTube if that's where you're watching. Hit that subscribe button so you don't miss any of the future streams because I am dropping the alpha for free every time I come on. So there you go. It's for you. Let's get into it. All right. So first thing we got to do is talk about this rate cut, right? I mean, it has been a long time coming. It's been since December since we've seen a cut. Obviously, the president has been leaning on the Fed. He's been leaning specifically on Fed Chair Powell to make this cut for a long, long time. This is not the result of Powell giving in to pressure, in my opinion. This is a matter of we've seen some metrics that indicate it's time to make a rate cut. And so the speculation is whether it'll be a 25 basis point cut or a 50 basis point cut. And the market consensus is 25 basis points. Let's see if this has changed any here in the past couple of days. 96% of the market feel that this is going to be a 25 basis point cut. 4% of the market feels it's going to be a 50 basis point cut. That's 100% of those polled here. Okay. So that means there are 0 Fed watchers who think that there's not going to be any cut at all. So why 25 versus 50? Regardless of what might be warranted here, it is my opinion, and this is opinion only. There's a couple factors at work here. Number one, a 50 basis point cut at this point, in my opinion, would signal to the market, who expects 25 basis points, it would signal to the market that things may be worse than they really are. That's number one. Number two, I think it would be a thinly veiled admission that the Fed is late, which obviously they probably don't want to do. And number three, we know that Fed Chair Powell goes he goes to great lengths to make sure that he is not surprising the market. 96% of the market thinks 25 basis point cut. I'm pretty confident we're going to have, I'd say I'm 96% say 25 basis point. I'm 99% confident that it will be a 25 basis point cut with those things in mind. Now, again, I said that this isn't because of speculation, and I should share that chart actually so you guys can see what I'm talking about. I know it's much easier, and there are some language barriers, so I will share this screen with you so you guys can see what I'm talking about. This is the CME Group's survey, and here we go. 96% say a 25 basis point cut. 4% says 50 basis point cut. This is where I say we see things land tomorrow. That doesn't mean that we might not see a 50 basis point cut later in the year. Okay. There's still an October cut, or excuse me, an October meeting and a December meeting scheduled. I believe 3 cuts are baked in for the year. I've even seen a report of 4, but there's only 3 scheduled meetings. So the 4th would be a bigger deal. And then, potentially in October or December, we could see a different size cut. We'll have to see how things evolve here over time. But this is what we're focused on now. What's in front of us at the moment. And so, again, my mind is on 25 basis point cut. What does this mean now? So I've heard all of this speculation that the market's going to go crazy based on this cut. Well, this cut is very, very baked in. I mean, 100% in my mind says that the vast majority of the market has baked in this cut to price. Now, people have some psychological impulses that, hey, rate cut means risk off environment, and they can get cheaper money, and that's going to help more capital flow into the market, and it very well may. But let's keep in mind that this is not just a cut for the sake of cutting. This is a cut that is directly related to a spike in unemployment. And as you can see, our last report was at 4.3%. And that's not necessarily, I won't call that a spike. That's an uptick, in my opinion, from 4.2 to 4.3. But we obviously want to prevent that big spike. So that's a big thing to watch, and a big reason why this is happening. So in terms of how should I say presidential influence on this, again, I think that Powell and the Fed in general, this is not a one-man decision, by the way, right? He leads, but that body, I believe 12 members vote on this. So as of this week, President Trump has nominated a new board member who will be making it to this meeting just in time. He was cleared by the Senate just in time to make it to this meeting. So is he stacking the deck in his favor? You better believe he is. So there's that. So, I mean, the cut is happening. It just is. It's there. So where do we go from here? Let's say this is baked in, because it is. Yes, market wants to rally, but here's the big but. Here's the big catch. The market loves to punish people, loves to punish the late longs, loves to punish the early shorts. All of these things happen. And I talked about that last week because we had the scenario, lots of talk and noise about an alt season, and lots of indicators pointing to alt season developing, seeing those signs. And we got some nice rallies over the weekend, but short-lived, right? And I've been commenting on that, and I've been updating you along the way since last week. where I expected to see um, a bit of a fake out going into the weekend, and then see things pull back, punish those, as I mentioned, punish those early shorts, and then come back and punish those late longs, which absolutely did happen. I didn't nail the timing to the T, but close enough to the pin, in my opinion. Bottom line is the same price action unfolded, literally as I thought it would, and I've given you guys updates along the way. If you want to track that conversation, you can absolutely do so on my X page at KA Productions. Links, by the way, to all of the channels and all of the tools are in the description of the video on YouTube, so you can get it there. Um, so I had been talking about this. Another thing I talked about over the weekend, and this, listen, this could be the moral compass that guides you. At least it's the moral compass that guides me, because I've learned the hard way. Trying to hit the absolute tops and bottoms of this volatility in this market is really, really difficult. Yes, you can use some tools to help you. And gosh, I just posted something a little while ago. Our MTF mean reversion indicator from Material Indicators, it just picks your perfect call on the ETH dip this morning. So yes, you can use tools like this to try and snipe those bottoms. But in terms of wondering whether this is it, whether whether the top is in, whether we're going to see a dump, whether this is going to be a sell the news event, and I think, and there's a dose of speculation here, right? I'm speculating, and you guys know that I don't really love to speculate. I prefer to use data, but there's no data on this, so I'm speculating that based on, and this is just based on history and based on my own experience in the market, I'm speculating that we're going to see an initial knee-jerk reaction. We're going to get the cut. Market's going to pump, and we've already seen the pump begin. Right. We've seen the pump begin here this afternoon, with price now making its way back up to 117, running into some resistance here. Some whale buying continuing. Yesterday, I commented that the shark class, red order class, had started buying, and then we saw whales coming back in. So we have seen. I should probably refer to the right time. Here's where I talked about this. Right, this was happening here, and so I think we could get that initial reaction where price pumps, and then we have the it develop into a sell the news event. So that would be like a fake out, similarly to how this so-called alt season has so far delivered a bit of a fake out, right? We see in times of uncertainty, and we hit one, right? We had a nice pump here coming into the weekend, and then things started pulling back. And what happens in these periods of uncertainty is capital rotates back into stable coins and into Bitcoin. And so we can see Bitcoin dominance having a bit of a resurgence. Stablecoin dominance was also on an uptick until literally just a few, maybe hours ago, when this rally began, because that money is rotating into largely into Bitcoin. And now we can see, if we look closely, we can see it's coming back into alts to a lesser degree. And so my expectation as we head into this rate cut decision is that we will see this as a initial knee-jerk reaction will be positive. But then I expect, and I don't know if this happens on the same day or if it happens over the weekend or it takes a little time, but I think we will see a pullback on Bitcoin again. I mean, what's positive right now is that we are above the trend line and we're above the moving averages and we're above the timescape levels. All of these things are bullish for Bitcoin in the near term. What's bullish for Bitcoin in the long term is exactly what I said um, over the weekend. 124,500 is not the top for Bitcoin, and 4950 is not the top for ETH. Why? Because there's simply just too much institutional demand, and that demand is growing literally every day. A lot of these institutions, we know which institutions are online with the ETFs, right? But after recent legislation, crypto legislation on the Stablecoin Act, et cetera, banks are going to be coming online in a much greater capacity than they have. When I say coming online, in the cryptoverse, if you will, in the cryptosphere, whatever you want to call it, within our ecosystem, we're going to see banks much more involved. We're going to see onboarding through banks. We're going to see where it wasn't necessarily easy to do before. We're going to see banks potentially being custodians for crypto. And so all of these things bring a new dynamic into the mix. And I would say that we haven't even seen 50% of what's going to be happening in terms of institutional with crypto. It's going to take these large and legacy financial institutions do not move quickly. They are not nimble. Okay. And so it's going to take some time for them to continue to onboard and to come on board and to come online in crypto and to adopt blockchain. But it's happening, and it's happening as fast as they can make it happen. So be aware that there is more coming. Institutional demand is indeed coming and growing. And so that's why I think that the top is not in for either of these two assets, not for Bitcoin or for ETH. And long term, and this is how I'm viewing it. I have been looking at building a long-term position. Quite frankly, I've been building my Bitcoin long-term position since the FTX crash back in 2022. And I'm pretty happy with where I am. Only difference is if I had more capital to deploy towards Bitcoin and own more, I would, right? But I want some diversification in my portfolio. In the past few months, I have, and if you're new to the stream and you don't know me very well, I will tell you that I have been largely a Bitcoin trader and investor. In terms of alts, I trade them. I use our tools to trade them, but I've not had much conviction in many of them, so I don't hold many of them. I trade them, I get in, I get out, I move on to the next one. I stack powder to buy more Bitcoin and more ETH. So that has been my strategy thus far. Now, when we come into potential alt season scenarios or alt rallies or whatever you want to call it, I want to take advantage of those opportunities as well. And so I do apply some capital for trading, right? I've split my portfolio. I've got allocation for investment and hold, and I have a small allocation for trading. And so I think that we could see an initial spike in Bitcoin and ETH prices, followed by a correction on those assets. And that will create the opportunity to see capital start to flow into altcoins. So will alt season develop into what we have historically known alt season to be? I have been saying all year long that I personally would be very surprised if whatever iteration of an alt rally we get, if we want to call it an alt season, we can. Whatever iteration we get of that here in 2025 is not going to look exactly like what we've seen in prior cycles like 2021. It just isn't. I don't think it's going to last as long. I don't think it's going to impact as many coins. I think you need to be selective about what you pick and what you trade or invest in. And I think it is going to run more akin to what we saw at election time, right? Trump won, and we saw everything just rip for about a month and a half, and then the correction was hard and fast and unforgiving. So don't be greedy. Moral of the story is don't be greedy. Pick your targets. Pick your targets when you first open that trade, and don't be greedy. Be conservative with your profit taking. Split profit taking to me is one of the greatest things known to man. Right? I like to dollar cost average my way in and dollar cost average my way out. So that way you can compound and you can lock in some profits along the way. So you may not get every bit of meat down to the bone, but you're going to get enough of the meat to have a good have a good meal out of it, right? Get a good bite out of what the market is doing to us. So keep that in mind. Alex, good to have you, man. Do I think 615 could be the bottom for BNB? Oh, my formerly beloved BNB. I used to really love that coin back in the day when I was allowed to trade on Binance, and now I'm not. So I don't follow it as much as I used to. But I'll be happy to look it up for you and see what we can make sense of in a chart because well, that's what we do for each other around here, right? So let's see. Let's looky right here and pull up a BNB on the mothership, Binance. Man, I really hope that American traders get access back to Binance because man, what a great exchange it was, or is, I should say. So the question was, do I think BNB will ever go lower than what was it, 615? Could that be the bottom for BNB? 615. That's way down here. Let's see. Let's clear out the trend precognition just to simplify this chart a bit. We have a Fibonacci retracement here from the swing high to low. And we have a new all-time high. So it's been a while since I've looked at this, right? We have a new all-time high. We're making one now, as a matter of fact. Looks like. Geez. 615 was your target, right? Could that be the bottom? So we do have some consolidation in around this fib extension, which is interesting to me. 615 would be down here. Interesting. Well, I do like that we have a triple bottom of support here. That's number one. So this was a good bounce for sure. Let's see if we can get some insight from timescapes as to what looks strong in terms of support. We have yearly open territory up here. We're well above that. We're well above all the timescapes because we are in a moment of price discovery for BNB. But in terms of whether or not we would potentially see price go lower, I never rule anything out. And there is a quarterly, this would be Q2 open around the mid fives, around that 550, really around this. This takes us all the way back to 2022. So let's look at this way. In terms of timescapes, the ones that are most that I watch the closest are the ones that are closest in relative time. That's number one. So for the current year, and number two, where we see deep concentrations of multiple timescapes together, right? So we have a couple timescapes here at this 700 range. This is the yearly open. That's one we want to see hold. And of course, the first week of the open. So this is where you really want to see strength. The problem is we've not retested that. There's been no retest here whatsoever. So that's the first thing is as high as price has come from there, And gosh, it's been an absolute rip. And there was a nice support test back here at the 786 fib extension. I could still build a case for a consolidation, at the very least, a support test either here. And if that doesn't hold, then I'd go to the prior support levels, right? So could that get us all the way down to that 515 range? Gosh, that's a long way from here. That's a huge correction from here. I'd hate to see that happen to anybody, to be honest with you, because gosh, I've had some good fortune with B&B back in the day. That would be, to get down to that level would be a 36% correction, which certainly not out of the question in this game at all. So I wouldn't rule it out at all, to be honest with you. And the fact that we have some consolidation of, or not consolidation, but some confluence between timescape levels down here. Let's see when they are. Not that it really matters. Wow. Look at this. A year apart, almost the exact same level here. So there is some confluence here in this 600, 606 range that I would be watching, because I don't rule anything out in crypto. And maybe the bottom is in for this cycle. I haven't been watching this one enough to know. But I would say I would not rule out the chance of a 35% correction on any coin in crypto. And the fact that those levels have not been retested at least makes me think that we could see some support tests back to the top, prior all-time high, potentially even the yearly open. What I would love to see, this would be an amazing opportunity, would be a correction, a support test back to this yearly open range. What would that be from here? That's not like unheard of, right? That's 26%. That would be nasty for a lot of people, but that to me would validate foundational support, which has not, in my opinion, been met here yet. So I'd like to see that over the yearly open, right? The yearly open back here, and it just ripped through, right? There was no retest of support there. So that's my thought. That's my thought on BNB. I hope that answers your question in some way, shape, or form. Bottom line is I don't rule anything out. Looks strong right now, but I don't like that it hasn't retested support at some of those other levels. Susie, hey Susie Q. So I'm saying I expect a correction on Bitcoin and ETH soon, which will fuel alts. That's exactly what I'm saying. Initially, everybody pulls, right? And knee-jerk reaction is probably a spike, followed by a shakeout, similarly to what we've seen here the past couple of days. Now, in terms of timing, does that happen right after, later in the day? Does it happen over the weekend? I'm not sure of that. But ultimately, I do think that ETH and Bitcoin find new all-time highs. But if we get that correction, that creates the perfect opportunity for those alts to really start to roam. We've not quite seen it just yet. We've seen glimpses of it, glimmers, if you will. But as I showed you here on this chart, we're seeing capital rotate back into Bitcoin at the moment. But we're also seeing some of it go into alts, into these total threes. But this is brand new, right? This we were on a downtick here earlier, and now we're just getting a little uptick on it today. So I'll still watch this closely. I would really love to see Total 3 ES clear this $1 trillion threshold. And again, this isn't all alts. Total 3 ES is top 100 alts, basically top 100 coins minus Bitcoin, minus ETH, and minus stable coins. So it's a basket of purely alts. And I'd like to see that clear this level. Doesn't have to, right? We could move between here and here, get rejected from this, and still have a nice alt run. But I think it would be short lived. This would be breaking out of this would mean one of a couple of scenarios. One scenario is, and the simple one is, hey, more money's moving in. But if more money isn't moving in, it means it has to rotate from somewhere. So at the moment, you can see it's rotating out of stable coins. It's rotating out of ETH. We also want to see it rotating out of Bitcoin if you're looking for an alt season. So that remains to be seen. It was happening a few days ago. It's not happening at the moment. So pay attention to these metrics. Simple as that. I think I've covered most of what we teed up. Let's see if there's anything else I could show you in terms of what's happening here. So let's see, and this is a great way to gain some insight, right? When whales are buying collectively, price is going up, and when they're selling collectively, price is going down. You can see how aggressively purple whales got into the game today and pushed price up off the bottom. This bit of plunge protection that showed up. I had a comment with somebody earlier today. I had no expectations that this would hold if price made its way down there. And really, as you can see, this was set here to inspire the algos to start buying. And it did. And so now it's been pulled. Don't be surprised if it reappears someplace between now and tomorrow's rate cut meeting, because it probably will. And at the moment, we have some decent resistance, about 23 million. That's not a lot, but it's enough to hold things down. At the moment, we have some decent resistance, a little bit of profit taking here at the 117 mark. So imagine another flush between now and tomorrow afternoon. Anything is possible. So if you're trading this, be careful. If you are more concerned about your longer term position, just stick to your plan, right? Don't be caught up in all the noise. Don't get caught up in all of the news of the minute, because you're going to get shaken out and it's going to cost you. If you have conviction that Bitcoin has not reached its all-time high and ETH has not reached its all-time high, do you care about the volatility that happens in between? I mean, it's hard to watch. There's no doubt, right? It's hard to watch your portfolio value go down on any correction. But if you have conviction that that 124.5K is not the top for Bitcoin and 49.50 is not the top for ETH, then just hold and don't frustrate yourself. Now, if you have concerns or you need the money, then take some profit on these rallies and wait till you get confirmations and get back in. You do you. Simple as that. You got to trade in a way that makes you comfortable. If you're trading what somebody else is doing, just based on what they say, myself included, it's a recipe for disaster. Don't do it. Don't do it. Don't do it till you know what you're doing. So when I come on here, I don't tell you what to trade. I'm just trying to show you how to interpret the information, interpret the data, so that you can make more informed trading decisions. And with that in mind, I'm going to give you another peek at some data in the MI dashboard that can lend you a little bit of insight as well. We're looking at price returns and drawdowns of all the USDT pairs on Binance. So there's like 400 some odd pairs in here, and we could scroll up and down and we could see what all of them are individually, or we could just kind of look at the group. as a whole and get a sense of what's going on here. As you can see, we had some drawdown recently, and now we see things moving into profit. Right, that red here is means their 14-day rolling returns are profitable. Um, and the brighter the color, the more profitable. So you see here, like Voxel, a coin I've never heard about, Voxel, 46% in the past 14 days. Vet, 3.8% in the past 14 days. Vanna, 7.83. Turbo, 10.5. Right? So you want to be looking for setups, and especially these coins that haven't gone 40% or higher, right? The ones that are just starting are the ones that are, probably have the most opportunity. So what you can see here, positive returns in blue and less than 10% drawdown in red. So this is telling us that at the moment, and we had a spike a couple days ago, but at the moment, we can see that almost 88% of alts have less than 10% drawdown right now, and likewise, uh, almost 68% have positive returns at the moment. And so a little pullback from that, it was higher a few days ago. A little pullback from that, obviously, is okay. Now, let's go to another metric that might be of interest to you. This is the correlation between alts and BTC. And we had, if we just want to look back in kind of history of how things transpired, we had a blow off top scenario back at the end of July. You can see all this red here, right? And how did price react to that? Right, we were locally toppy. We saw this breakdown, and then we saw more upside volatility as the market went through these different periods of optimism, and then fear set in, and then this blue area was a capitulation. And we can see Bitcoin dumped, alts dumped, everything came back down. And now we're kind of coming out of that. We're back into a period of optimism, and price is moving back up. So there are no straight lines, despite all the people that said as soon as we have this rate cut, it is off to the races and everything's going to go up from there and it's going to be a moon and you're going to be a millionaire. Bullshit. There's just no absolutes. Markets ebb and flow. There are no sustainable straight lines. So know that going in. Have your plan, stick to your plan. If you're trading short term, you're going to be very busy here and over the next few days and potentially weeks. If you are a long-term investor, you're a hodler, stick to your plan, man. Stick to your plan. Simple as that. I will leave you with a parting shot of what is happening in the Bitcoin order book. I won't be surprised if we see more chipping away at this. And let's zoom out a little bit and see what things are looking like above, right? Because how much overhead liquidity is there between here and getting back to all-time high territory? There's obviously a decent amount stacked between here and 120. And then things thin out a little bit up to that 125K level. This would be all-time high territory. These are not this is a significant amount, but certainly not impenetrable. When the market's ready to do it, it will do it. So keep that in mind. Could we even potentially get an all-time high before this correction? We could. I think it would be a nominal one in the near term. But ultimately, I do expect that price goes higher. We could pick those targets. We could talk about those targets in another stream in terms of where price ultimately could go. But for now, just know volatility lies ahead. A 25 basis point rate cut is baked in across the market, and so are two more rate cuts by the end of the year. So there's not a lot to speculate on tomorrow in terms of whether the Fed is going to cut or how much they're going to cut. Um, the speculation is whether this becomes a sell the news event or not. Hope that gives you some things to think about, and hope this helps you really become a smarter data driven trader. If you're interested in any of the tools that I've shared with you, I've got links in the description down below. And one that I haven't talked about, our Telegram community. We have an awesome free Telegram community. Come join us. We talk about this stuff all day, every day. Global community, thousands and thousands of traders in there. We'd love to have you come join us too. It's a great environment. No moon boys, no shillers, no, just like straight up trading talk. Come join us. Have a great day, guys. Tomorrow going to be a big day. We'll do it together. Here's to trading smarter.